Hi there and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to share a little bit with you about introducing some color concepts, color grading, color toning using Nik Color Efex and why I love using these programs so much. So I've got this image here. I've got a whole series that I shot and I love it. It looks great. I have used some of my own presets on this, but I just want to give it just that little bit of an oomph. And this is where going into programs like Nik Color Efex can really help you out. So what I'm going to do from Lightroom, I'm going to edit in and I'm going to go to Nik Color Efex. You can do it from Photoshop or whatever as well. So it's up to you what you want to do. If you are using it from Photoshop, you can save as non-destructive files and you have, it's like a smart filter. You can go backwards and forwards. So yeah, so you can save it as non-destructive edits, although it does make for a much larger file. Now, there are presets, so you can come in here and you can look at lots of different presets. This is one that I just think is absolutely gorgeous. This is bleached portrait. I mean, how stunning is that? But you don't have to use that. You can play with all of those, or what you can do, turn the presets off and you can come and have a look at all the filters. Now make sure that you've got all of Nik selected, and then it will come through and show you all of the filters that you can use for something like this. The ones that have got the stars, they're my favorite. So if you want to click or add to your favorites list, just click the button there and that will share just all your favorites. Or if you want to go to recently used, you can. You want to make something a favorite, just click on the little star there. So I don't want to make a black and white conversion. Let's have a look at bicolor filters. So it's brown, cool to warm, green brown, moss. That's not bad. There are user defined ones, so there's blue tan, brown pink. So there's stuff there. If you want to add it to your list, then it's just a matter of hitting plus. So I really did like that high contrast bleached look. That looks really, really good. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to add that and it pops over into my right hand side. Now I do want to boost my saturation a little bit on that one. So other things that you can use, you've got brilliance and warmth. I'm sure you can go through and you can find a lot of these. So I've increased the saturation on that one. So that's another one that I do kind of like. Classical soft focus, so you can add a little bit of that sort of glow, some diffusion to it. There's a lot that you can play with, really quite strong diffusion. I quite like that, so I'm going to add that to my list. Now you've got colorizer, you've got soft sepia. What does that do? No, I'm not a fan of that. Soft sienna, no. It's sort of starting to muddy all the colours together and I don't want that. Contrast, perhaps I want to boost the contrast slightly. Traditional contrast. Make it a bit brighter. Go a bit darker. Might stick with soft contrast, I think. Cross balance, darken, lighten, so you can lighten the center of your image. Or you can brighten the edges if you prefer. I'm just going to drop the opacity to about 50% on that one. Detail extractor. Now, you can use something like this, and it's quite good on certain things, but you don't necessarily, if you've been adding diffusion to your image, you don't necessarily want to add details. Sort of counteractive, if that makes sense. There's lots of things: film effects, vintage film effects, worn edges, neutral fade, glamour glow. So I'm sure you're starting to get the idea of what you can do in there. You've also got your HSL. Quite like that Lush to Savannah, so I'm going to add that one as well. Image borders, Indian summer, infrared film. So perhaps I just want to put, you know, a little border around my image, and there's lots of different ones that you can play with. Quite like that one. Indian summer. Pro contrast is another really good one. If you want to go into pastel, you can. Really does add quite a diffusion layer to it. Which I've already added some diffusion, so pro contrast. Tonal contrast, which is probably a bit strong. Now remember though that you can come in and you can adjust the opacity of these. So if I want to give a lens vignette to the outer edges, or perhaps I want to give, where did it go? So you've got a blur filter, or so you've got filter, blur, or lens vignette that you can add. So that gives quite a strong blur to your image. Now, if I was to come in and add that, but I could drop the opacity down. I can also come in here and I can change the shape and the type of the vignette. I can change the size, the opacity of it at the center, and play with it like so. If you want to come in and start doing just local adjustments, see the opacity I want to bring down just in that middle bit. And depending on what the filter is what difference it does make to your filter that you applied. If you decide that you don't like, so you can toggle them on or off. And I think I actually prefer it without the border, so I can then, you can save it, or I can just turn it off. Doesn't matter, either or. So any of these you can come in and you can start playing around with them once you've set your filters. So you've got your traditional sort of histogram and everything at the top, and then you've got your bleach bypass. That's the first one that we put in. And again, you can turn that on or off and see the difference that it makes. Then you've got your Glamour Glow, lens vignette, bleach bypass, brilliance, warmth. We had the classical soft focus, contrast, HSL, darkening and lightening the center. Again, you can change various settings for that. You can place your center and you can just drop the adjustments. Vignette blur, you've got control points. So there's a lot that you can do to your image. So let's have a look at where we started. And it's quite a beautiful image. But have a look at it now. It just pops. There's just something about it. That blur might still be a little bit on the steep side, so I'm going to bring that back a little bit. And because I've actually got two, that's why it's quite strong. So if I turn this one off, so I'm going to get rid of that one and I'm going to keep this one but bring it back down. So that's it. Now, what do you do once you've got it to where you like? You can either you can save it as a preset. So still life. So you'll find it over in custom. And then once you have got it everywhere that you're happy with, you can hit apply and come back into Lightroom. And there is my image there in Lightroom. So here's the original, and here's that. Now, if I want to edit this again, I can then go back into Color Efex Pro, edit original, and all of the presets and everything that I applied are still there. It has made the file so much larger, but you can come back and re-edit it if you wish. Of course, if you don't want to have it as a non-destructive file, you can just save it as a DNG file or a TIFF. When it goes back into Lightroom, if you want to re-edit it, you can just open and apply your preset again and edit from there. So there's two different ways to go. So that's it. So playing with Color Efex can be a fabulous way to just add some drama and a bit of pop to your still life images. You don't have to just take them into Photoshop or Lightroom. just to add some quick processing or add some presets that you might have in Lightroom or whatever, you can take it a step further, and looking at Nik is an excellent way to do this. Another part of Nik which is brilliant, which is Vivisa, or you've also got Color Efex. So I might cover them off in another video. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Bye.